Hi everyone, welcome to this presentation and Q&A session about the postgraduate programs in the Department of Archaeology at the University of Southampton. My name's Professor Joseph Eyre and I'm here with my colleague Professor Alistair Pike. We're really happy that you're able to join us today wherever you are in the world. We're going to be talking you through three of the programs that we offer, but focusing particularly on the second two that are in this slide. That's the Master's Programme in Archaeology and the Programme in Business and Heritage. So let's start by talking a little bit about our department and what we think is really special and important about it. We have the first slide, please. So our department is really a world-class outfit. We are ranked number 44 in the QS World University Rankings for 2020, and we've been consistently in the top 50 for the last few years. But what's really, I think, important about us is that we're a welcoming, intellectually vibrant and exciting department. We have excellent resources which will be at your disposal, and we have outstanding opportunities for students who are part of our programs. And I'm going to talk to each of those as we go through the slides. Next slide, please. Very briefly, the Masters in Maritime Archaeology is offered both as an MA and an MSc. You can study this program through a variety of different ways, tracking through it in a series of different kind of options. As I said, we'll talk about this later this afternoon. But we usually have about 15 to 20 students on this program from all different kinds of backgrounds. You don't have to have a background in maritime to join us. And we have a really international student cohort with students from Canada, China, France, Greece, Hungary, Poland, Spain, the USA and UK in our current student body. Next slide, please. The modules that are on offer as part of Maritime are, as you can see on the screen, really wide-ranging. And all of these are available to students who also study with us on our other programs that we're going to talk about today. Next slide, please. So let's hone in now on the Masters in Archaeology. The MSc Archaeology is what we call a pathways-based program. That means that you can take a Masters in Archaeology, which is really broad, and you can follow your own interests. It's a really flexible program. If you come to us with pre-existing interests, you can start with a slightly more narrow range of focus. So, for example, rather than taking the MSc Archaeology, which would allow you to take any module that we offer, you would start, if you wanted to do the Msc Archaeology Bio Archaeology, with a focus on bioarchaeology modules. Similarly, with the Msc Archaeology Paleo Anthropology, you would be doing modules that are focused in that area, but you would have choices from elsewhere. And the Msc Archaeology Professional Practice is aimed at students who are interested in working in contract, in museums, or in the sector more broadly. And again, you would take modules aimed particularly at those. So our Msc Archaeology usually takes between 15 and 20 students per year. That's for all the sub-programs and pathways. And again, our students are from a really diverse background. We have students who come from nursing, from veterinary medicine, from non-governmental organisations in the heritage sector, from law. I could continue almost infinitely, as well as, of course, students who have a more traditional background in archaeology, history, or anthropology, or allied disciplines. Whatever your degree is in now, we're really interested in hearing from you. We're interested in a diverse student body. And we also have a really international cohort. So we have students from Canada, China, Croatia, Greece, Taiwan, the United States, and the UK. In the past, we've had students from Thailand. We've had students from Mexico, students from all over the globe. And that's what makes archaeology at Southampton a really exciting, vibrant place to be, because you're there with a lot of other people who have shared interests, but come from a range of different backgrounds, all brought together through their interest in archaeology. So I said that the program is pathway based. Let's look at what that means in a bit more detail. So at the top of this slide, you can see I've put the MSc Archaeology. The MSc Archaeology has only one compulsory module, and that is the dissertation. The dissertation is a piece of research that you do supported by a member of staff, and that can be in any area that you are interested in, as long as there is staff expertise to help you interrogate it. And then you would choose 8 other modules from this indicative list to match into your program. So the MSc Archaeology is ideal for students who just want a really broad understanding of the subject, or conversely, who have really precise interests that they want to follow up and are able to make their own bespoke package. Let's go back to the previous slide. So in the previous slide, let's look at the Msc Bio Archaeology. So the Msc Bio Archaeology is for students who already have an interest in this area, and perhaps you're interested in going into contract archaeology. There are quite a lot of jobs at the moment in this field. Or who are interested in developing skills going forward. Perhaps you want to do a PhD and you need these foundations, or it's just something which really strikes you as interesting. A lot of our students come to us keen to take their expertise back to their home country because there is a lack of expertise in bioarchaeology in their home country. And so this establishes them almost as leaders in their field instantaneously. So you do, if you took the MSc Archaeology, Bioarchaeology, the analysis of faunal remains, the bioarchaeology of human remains, and 6 other modules from that list that we've previously shown you as a free choice, and your dissertation. The Msc Professional Practice is for students who are interested, as I've said, in contract archaeology, in the museum world, in the commercial sector, or in practical archaeology. And here you take the professional practice module, and you take a professional placement in the archaeological and cultural heritage sector. This module is really unique for Southampton. What we do is we match you with a cultural or archaeological organisation, and you carry out a piece of work in conjunction with them that actually contributes towards that organisation's work and gives you experience in working in the sector. It's really fantastic experience. You're getting a real world environment doing that module, and you're contributing at the same time to archaeological knowledge. Of course, alongside these 2, you're taking your dissertation and the free choice, as I've said, of 6 modules from the list. The Msc Archaeology Paleoanthropology, you would take context for human origins research and the analysis of Paleolithic stone tool assemblages, along with the dissertation and a free choice of 6 additional modules. And this pathway is really exactly what it says it is. It's for students who are absolutely drawn to our earliest human origins, to paleoanthropology, and want to learn more about that, whether that's going forward into a PhD, whether it's because it's just something that fascinates you, or you want a career in this kind of direction. So let's move to the next slide. You can have a longer look at the modules that we offer, either on our website or by looking at the presentation later on. But what I'd really like to draw your attention to is the breadth of modules from which you have option. These modules may change slightly from year to year. They are an indicative list, but we always endeavour to give our students the widest possible choice. And you can mix and match your pathways between the different pathways that we have on offer in the MSc. So, for example, if we go back to the previous slide, you could, if you're on the Msc Bio Archaeology, take as your optional modules professional practice or a professional placement, or human origins research, or the analysis of Paleolithic stone tool assemblages, or all of those if you wanted. So it's really a matter of creating the right combination of modules for you that allows you to follow up on your interests. And if you're doing the Msc Archaeology without any specific pathway attached to it, you have complete free choice. So it's really one of the most flexible pathways that is out there, or flexible programs that is out there on the market. We love to get our students involved in projects, research, and public engagement. And here are just a few of the examples of things that we do with our students. So our students on the bioarchaeology pathway, they have access to our fantastic collection of skeletal remains from sites in England. And they work on projects both individually and collectively, writing up reports, understanding the archaeology of the human remains and what it can tell us about the past. Every year, we take our students on field trips, this one to Stonehenge. And we get involved in outreach through archaeology science days, through anthropology days, working with the community to explore the ways that archaeology is meaningful in the present day. So you can see on the top right of this slide, a project that was done by Alistair and some students around cave paintings with kids. And then at the bottom, just a range of different kinds of fieldworks, experimental archaeology, analytical projects that are being done by our students. So I'll pass over Alistair now for a discussion and presentation of the MSc in Business and Heritage.
Thank you, Jo. My name is Professor Alistair Pike. I coordinate the MSc in Business and Heritage. I'm also the head of the Archaeology Department, and I'm going to tell you about our MSc program. And the heritage industry is a growth industry in all parts of the world. You can see a graph of the value of tourism worldwide that peaked last year at just shy of $1.5 trillion. And the graph on the left here actually shows the number of tourists that have been traveling around the world by their region of arrival, and you can see there has been growth in every area of the globe. And although these are tourists, heritage tourism is a major component of tourist travel and also the tourist economy. And this shows that the heritage industry is a huge growth industry and is a major contributor to the global economy. And this means that there is a need for heritage employers to employ an increasing number of skilled heritage managers. And it is this that our MSc is designed to give you the skills of. In order to work in the heritage industry, especially from a global perspective, you'll need to have an understanding of the legal and ethical frameworks for heritage as they are practiced around the globe. So we develop your understanding of these principles and allow you to focus your interests on the part of the world, perhaps your home country, or an area of the world that you're interested in, and focus your understanding of the legislation within that country. We also recognize that the presentation of heritage is a really important aspect of both heritage and heritage economies, and you will gain knowledge in the presentation of cultural heritage to a variety of audience, be those global audiences or local audiences, and we'll look at the role of heritage and cultural heritage in the forming of national identities. You will also learn about the theory and practice of preserving and presenting heritage, and importantly, on mitigating the impact of development on our shared heritage. So part of the growing heritage industry comes with it the growing construction industry, the development of countries, and one needs to make sure that heritage is preserved within all of this kind of expansion and building. And we will give you the skills to assess the impact of development on heritage sites. But this is also a business and heritage module, and so you will learn skills in business. And this is deliberately chosen to give you the skills to work in the sectors that are both public and private. So those that are funded by governments and those that are privately funded. And you'll get skills in finance, in project management. These are really transferable skills. They don't need to be specific to heritage. Managing projects and managing risks are important skills to have in many different career options. So we aim to give you the skills to work in a wide range of business and management roles in the heritage, tourism and possibly construction sectors if you move into the world of impact assessment and mitigation. Here is the structure of the course. There are 7 compulsory modules that you must take. They include modules on heritage management and museums, on environmental impact assessment. This is assessing the impact of development, of building works, if you like, on the environment and on cultural heritage. Presenting the past covers how we interpret and show heritage in museum contexts and other contexts to a variety of audiences. And then we share this program with the business school. So you will go over to the Southampton Business School and you will learn about corporate finance, you will learn about risk management and management processes. And then at the end of your course, you will then embark on a dissertation. This is a research project. It can be focused on your own personal interests, perhaps your own personal geographical location. And it gives you the opportunity to really hone your skills in an area that's of particular relevance to you and your career. And I'll give you some examples. Oh, sorry. And then on top of the compulsory modules, you can choose 2 optional modules from, well, in fact, anything that we offer in the archaeology department to our master's students. So that list, that really long list that Joe showed you in relation to the MSc Archaeology, all of those modules are also available to our students on the MSc Business and Heritage. Here are some that we picked out because we thought they might be particularly relevant, and they include optional modules that are run by the business school, for example, in marketing and strategic management and so on. But there are so many optional modules that are available that there wasn't enough room to show you all of them, but you can go back and have a look at the slide that Joe showed. So there is choice, not as much choice as for the MSc Archaeology, because we need to give you those core skills in heritage and in business, but you'll get to choose 2 modules that suit your particular interest, including a professional placement if we have enough host organizations to accommodate everybody. So just to give you a sense of the kind of skills that people come out with, I thought I would just talk you through some of the student dissertations that were done. These are these independent research projects that they do, and by and large, students choose them to suit the skills that they have and also their interests. And so over the past few years, we've had a student looking at the economic and social impact of government heritage interventions in the historic city of Jeddah. And this is where the government invested money in preserving some of the historical buildings in the city of Jeddah, in the old city of Jeddah. And this student was going to interview some of the residents of the old city to see whether or not the money that was invested by the government had actually changed their lives in some way. And they found out that the increase footfall of tourism had led to an increase in takings within retail outlets, but also the renovation of some buildings provided new venues for markets and so on. And so they were able to kind of quantify the economic impact of government intervention. We had a student who was really interested in the mining industry, and interested in how miners feel about the decline of the mining industry, certainly in Britain, and how they memorialize and remember and preserve mining heritage around the country. And he went and visited a whole bunch of mining sites where some of them have museums, others are essentially ruins. But he interviewed visitors to those sites, and then he interviewed coal miners as well, and looked at the relationship between the kind of culture of mining, the remembrance of mining, and the way that the mining industry has been presented as heritage. We had another student looking at the social and cultural impact of heritage tourism at Diriyah in Saudi Arabia. Again, this is another government intervention where they've spent some money in conserving some of their heritage sites. And the reason that they're doing that is because Saudi Arabia is trying to move its economy away from one that's reliant on oil and move it towards one that generates a much more significant income from tourism. And she was looking at the problems that this raises in terms of whether or not they have the infrastructure to support heritage tourism and whether they have the skill base in-house to support heritage tourism. And then we had another student who was looking at the presentation and interpretation of Britain's stately homes. This was really interesting because stately homes can present themselves in a number of different ways. So we have some stately homes that like to be very historic and take the interiors of their homes back to a particular period when perhaps a particularly famous individual lived there, and that's what they present to the public. But we also have other stately homes that have become famous, for example, because they've appeared in films, in period dramas. And the tourists are coming to these large houses, not because they're necessarily interested so much in the history of the house, but because they're interested in the film, in the fiction that was portrayed there. And that creates a really interesting dichotomy of how you actually present what is essentially an old and very magnificent building to the public. So as a department, we are very well placed to deliver many aspects of archaeology and heritage, partly because of our location. We are a few miles away from the coast. We are a few miles away from some of the most important and interesting archaeological sites in Britain. We're a very short drive to the Mary Rose, which is a very important shipwreck of Henry VIII's flagship that is now resident in Portsmouth Docks and has its very own museum. We're less than an hour's drive away from Stonehenge and Avebury, which are World Heritage Sites. And we have a lot of connections with local institutions, which we can use for both generating research projects for students, but also for placing students for their industrial placement. In-house, we have lots of really helpful facilities. We've got computing and digital imaging facilities within our building. Our building is purpose-built. It was built as an archaeology department, so that has enabled us to include laboratory space where we have analytical equipment, space to store collections such as our lithics, our stone tools collection, our ceramics collections. We have a wide variety of casts of plastic reproductions of fossil humans that students study for human origins. We have a very large faunal collection. This is animal bones, and we have human remains that students study and do their research on. We have bits of boats that the Maritime students look at, but we also have our very own shipwreck, which is on one of the estuaries near Southampton, and the students learn the recording skills they need to study ancient ships. We can do archaeological science in our isotope laboratories with microscopes. We've got the facilities for extracting environmental information such as pollen and plant seeds within the department. But also the university is tremendously well endowed with analytical facilities, and these are shared across all faculties in the university. So for example, some of my students go down to the Oceanography Centre to use their analytical facilities, such as mass spectrometers. We have a super high resolution 3D imaging center, which allows us to create three-dimensional models of the interior of archaeological artifacts. And we've got electron microscopes and so on and so forth, and the usual university facilities such as libraries. Within the department, we also have several research centres, such as the Centre for Maritime Archaeology, which is relevant to the MSc Maritime Archaeology, the Centre for Archaeology of Human Origins, which is of course relevant to the MSc in Paleo Anthropology and also Bioarchaeology. The faculty runs the Southampton Institute for Arts and Humanities, which is a pan-faculty institute which our students are encouraged to get involved with. And we run regular research seminar series, which are actually organised by some of our students in conjunction with staff. And we have lots of postgraduate networks, so we're connected with institutions outside the university, and our students can go and study with these people, use their collections, such as the British Museum and Historic England have collections that our students have in the past used as the basis for their research project. We're connected to archaeology units, the Maritime Archaeology Trust. These all provide a resource that our students can tap into either in the course of their research or for replacement, or some students choose to volunteer and go and work during the holidays with some of these institutions. So finally, here are our email addresses. We're very happy to receive emails from prospective students. So if you've got questions that we can't answer now, or you'd like to ask about other aspects of perhaps life in Southampton or life in the department, then please just note these down. They will be available on the video that will be circulated once this session has finished. Please do get in touch with us. We're very happy to chat with you and hopefully help you with any queries that you might have.